in the episode, we're going to be talking about D23 a lot, right? Because that's the big thing that happened recently. But did you guys love how they completely dodged Han Solo the whole day? Like, the very first thing out of their mouths was, hey, Han Solo, that's the thing that's going to happen, and we'll talk about it when we have something to tell you. What do you mean when you have something? You've been shooting this thing for 6 months. Come on. You don't have anything.
Come on!
It's not happening.
I mean, it's like what we expected, right?
Oh, what's this? I didn't see this till now.
All right, well, I'm excited. What?
Of Star Wars Galaxy Edge coming to Disney Parks in 2019.
Well, they're in the show notes.
I didn't see this one.
You know, I make show notes every week for the show.
I was working the past 2 hours, dear. Someone has to pay for our rent.
Sorry, Poogie. Oh, don't give me the crap. Hello there, you have found Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast made by fans for fans. It is episode 9. We are ahead of the episodic films right now in the count. It's a really exciting time. You just heard Nick Stewart. We'll go ahead to the full screen right now, the full camera look, because we have the full panel here with us today. I'm David Amilati. This is the rest of the crew. Jesse, let's start with you. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Long day at work, but I'm ready to rock this podcast.
David, you and I have taken an excursion to St. Louis and back all in one day. How do you feel?
Wonderful. Got to go visit a college buddy of mine who's getting married. Congratulations on that one. Got to visit a pretty awesome comic book shop and back here in time for dinner.
It's incredible when you go to a comic book shop and they have your order for you and a token to say sorry that another local comic book shop screwed you over. It was really satisfying to experience some good quality customer service. I'm sorry. Nick, how are you doing?
I am great, David. Thank you for asking.
Got that rent turned in?
I will tell you, though, I'm getting a little upset. I'm getting withdrawals.
Why?
From
what?
There has been a rocket launch in like 2 weeks now because the range is down. And they don't have anything all planned until the middle of August.
I thought you were just saying that you bought tickets to go in September.
Yeah, it's in like late. I mean, usually we're used to these like things, SpaceX, baby. We're doing these things like once a week now.
Okay, so when Nick says we're used to these rocket launches, you're used to these rocket launches.
You should all be too.
I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for us. We are. It's crazy to think that we are on episode 9 right now of the podcast, and this week, the last 10 days, and the week ahead. A lot of Star Wars stuff dropping. So let's get right into it with Real Talk. Real Talk is the segment where we talk about everything that's movie related or real related. So we can talk about the movies, the saga films, the standalone movies, the Clone Wars movie from 2008 that released in theaters that we all love so much. And I love to shout it out every week, and that's why I do it. And also the cartoons. But obviously our focus right now is going to be with our first topic, D23, dropping an incredible behind-the-scenes featurette of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
The goosebumps just all over right now.
Just under 3 minutes, guys, and it takes us across several sets that we have already seen in the original trailer and some photos from behind the scenes. We also saw a few new moments. For example, we do now know that Rey does hand the lightsaber over to Luke, and Luke holds the lightsaber that he lost all the way back in Empire Strikes Back. David, let's start with you on this topic. You see this featurette. What are the first thoughts that rush through your mind?
In the first 10 seconds, David, we get the shot of a Chewbacca mask with, like, curlers in the hair. And it just, to me, that nothing screams behind the scenes more than making sure your hair looks good before you go out on the set.
Those Wookiee perms.
So I'm very excited that we're getting, more than just, like, behind the scenes of explosions, but like how they even make our favorite Wookiee look beautiful. We also learned that Ryan's really bad at making the Wookiee sounds. I tease him for it. There's some new speeder bikes that I think are going to be kind of neat. We'll see how those end up turning out. A lot of different landscapes out there, a lot of different planets, so maybe they're going to be hopping around a lot, which would be nice and refreshing to see some of our beloved planets and maybe some new ones to add to our catalog. Absolutely.
Jesse, the fun thing about these behind-the-scenes featurettes is you see the practicality of the film. You get to see the practical effects, and you get a close-up at a lot of those props and costumes, and that kind of turns you on. So list me just 3 things that you really liked about this featurette.
This is going to sound really weird, but one of the things that I actually kind of loved realizing was in the trailer that we got from Celebration, the speeders or the bombers that are on the desert planet with what I thought was like red smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be that's actually soil.
Yeah, it's like the
being
ground
kicked up.
texture.
Yeah, it's like the actual
That was a cool shot with the slow-mo with the camera.
Yeah, because they had like the slow mo, as Nick pointed out, with the explosion, and that's like, oh man, I kind of feel dumb for even thinking it was smoke, because it was just like, it makes me wonder about this planet. Like this, this is a new environment. But for me though, there was this very brief scene where Luke is holding the lightsaber and he's like examining it. And if you look at his right hand, they've got like all the little markers and everything for like, CGI to turn his hand into
Right.
his robotic one. And I just love seeing that stuff. It's just like,
It's really cool to see how some of those things, like you mentioned, the markers on his fingers, how that has changed, because back in the last trilogy, it was a full green glove that he would have to wear, and now it's just these markings on the fingertips. Nick, you've been slaving away at work all night, but you still had time to find this featurette. What did you like about it so much?
There's one scene in there. It's one of the First Order scenes. I think it's kind of funny, like behind the scenes look. Everyone's wearing like the protective booties, like walking around the set. I don't know why I found that kind of chuckling, but there is so much in there. I think it shows their personality too. I like how you see how they all interact, because like the big theme they're really pushing this year is family.
Absolutely.
And this, I think, the tragedy that we had with Carrie Fisher, I think really kind of brings that together. And the ending of like Carrie Fisher's like line, like, oh my good God.
Well, she says something like, it's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Like, oh my goodness. And of course, it's a rap. It's a trap guy.
Yeah, I mean, it really pulls at the heartstrings, like you mentioned, and I'm so glad they ended it that way with Carrie Fisher saying those words. It goes back to what we said 4 episodes ago, that Star Wars is a saga story. It's about family in front of and behind the camera. And to hear Carrie say this, who better to say this right now? We've lost her, but she's still with us. Like, we get some more time with her because of this movie. We see so much in this featurette, but the thing that I take away isn't what we saw necessarily, but it's what we hear. We hear things like Daisy Ridley saying that Rian Johnson is telling us a story that's going to surprise us, take us places that we didn't expect to see or hear, and it's for the better. And Mark Hamill also kind of reiterates that with saying, I showed up to set and I got a different story than I expected, but my goodness, is this great. And that's so exciting for me to hear. And of course, you get caught in the moment with the music swelling in the background and all the fast cuts, but I think this did exactly what it needed to do with the crowd at D23, and of course everyone saying afterwards, which is get the conversation on The Last Jedi, because that is the next Star Wars movie we're going to get. December 15th is the date. And I'm literally at the edge of my seat right now because it was so awesome. It was so great. And this is actually going to propel us into our next topic of Real Talk, which is, it's kind of a sidebar topic. We also got 6 new posters for Star Wars The Last Jedi. They feature Luke, Rey, Finn, Leia, Poe, and Kylo. A very interesting, I don't want to say motif, but a very interesting look to all of them because they're all very similar. They're all shaded red. And I'd like to start with Nick on this one. Visually, what do you think about this? Because I was kind of caught off guard with the color scheme.
There's 3 things I noticed right away. I've been looking at these. I think it's interesting that generally speaking, all of the good people in the film are facing left. And then you have the bad person in the film facing right. You also have Rey facing right. I don't know what that means. That makes me a little concerned. But there's that. Also, Luke is holding, obviously,
the lightsaber.
Lightsaber, right? Yeah. But he's not his green one, which Luke, I think, was one of my favorite hilts in any of the movies. So he's not holding the green one. I wonder if that makes a return. I hope it does. I hope if they do, they probably would give too much away if they put it in the post or whatever. And then I also like how Poe is in there, because I hope he gets more screen time. And
that's a real belief. And I will say this. He does get a poster. We did not see a whole lot of Poe in the featurette, which kind of has some people up at arms online right now. They're kind of concerned if he's going to be a secondary character in this movie. Maybe he gets a little bit more time with this poster. Jesse, you look at these images. Do you believe there's like a subliminal hint to fans with the way these things are positioned, like Nick mentioned?
It's very much possible. The one that stuck with me the most was Luke. The fact that he was holding his old lightsaber instead of his his green saber and everything. So it kind of makes me wonder, we talked about it, a few episodes back about how we wanted Rey to have her own lightsaber. So maybe she's just training with this one, So
you see it in the featurette too. She's holding that one.
Yeah. So like, I kind of wonder if maybe I don't know. Maybe she is going to make her own at some point. So
I think I'm torn on this. I mean, originally I just wanted Luke to have his blue one because I am a firm believer the best Luke Skywalker is Luke at Bespin in the garb with the blue saber and a gun in his hand. We captured it. Thank you, Nathan Greno, for that capture. Deep tease. We're gonna showcase what that bad boy looks like in a frame. But that's my favorite Luke, right?
Yeah.
And so to see him in these Obi-Wan old samurai type clothing with his lightsaber back in hand really excites me because I'd like to see him keep that hilt later on. But as we know, Pablo Hidalgo has already said online that Anakin's lightsaber is now Rey's lightsaber. So maybe, just maybe, Luke ignites the green in Episode 8, The Last Jedi. We'll find out.
Oh, baby.
David, you saw these posters. What are you thinking, man?
I don't like them. It's like they got lazy and didn't want to finish photoshopping the eyes and the rest of their head. I mean,
Yeah. These are really classy images, as far as we can tell from the nose down.
I just... how can you trust somebody when you can't see their eyes? And the only person whose eye we actually get to see is Kylo, and only from the side. So you can't really even see it.
Well, I think they did that to showcase the scar as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's almost like somebody took, a red sock and threw it in with the laundry, and then they had to go to the photo shoot at the last minute. So, not sure that I really dig these posters all that much. I mean, I look back at our classic posters and they've got, montages of things, which I'm not a montage fan, but at least it gave us a little more than, 6 people dressed in, crimson red smeared at the bottom.
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen a blood smear like this in what Beijing used for their Olympics in 2008 for their logo. I mean, this is just...
Oh, my God.
Looking through these two real quick, another thing I noticed, I mentioned everyone's looking one way or the other.
Yeah.
Poe is kind of facing right, but looking left. So what if he plays some devious role?
And then you've got
that would be awful. Don't do that.
Then you've got Leia bless your heart, holding her, like some Southern woman getting ready to insult somebody without actually saying anything mean. I don't.
I think every image they've shown of Leia, you mentioned her. I think that she's looked good in every image they've had. I think they're giving her extra
really
attention.
Yeah.
Jesse, I think you had something you wanted to throw out there.
just kind of interesting. They're all wearing these red robes.
Well, I don't know if they're all wearing red robes. I think they're just all tinted red. I think they're all wearing the normal stuff.
But I'm kind of I'm just wondering what that's supposed to what that's supposed to be. There's obviously some sort of symbolism going on there with all the red.
Our logo's been red instead of the normal yellow.
Yeah. Well, and then also it also kind of mirrors. Let me think here. I think wasn't it every film where the Sith win, it's been red. Wasn't that something we talked about 2 episodes ago? I'm pretty sure, where it's like the logo, because if you go back, and Empire was red as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
3? Was 3?
Yeah. Empire was also blue too for a while. But I digress. My thing when I see these posters, it kind of reminds me of that leaked image we had of the Praetorian Guards. And there was actually a new leak that we won't show on this cast, but we'll post the link below. What was I going to say? The Praetorian Guards came out, and they look really bad, and I thought of those immediately when I saw these posters, so that's a little discouraging.
I mean, I sit here and I trash the posters, but I'm not going to be discouraged from seeing the movie just because I don't like, a teaser poster that's coming out 6 months before the movie. So
no, totally fair. Let's go on to the next topic, which is something that was not discussed at D23 at all. The Han Solo standalone movie in TMZ has released 2 leaked set pictures of a scene filmed with Lord and Miller still at the helm of the movie at the time. What we have here is our best look at Han, Chewie, Beckett, and Emilia Clarke's character. No idea what this location is. I also have no idea why Woody Harrelson has that haircut. Beckett has a very interesting do, and let's start over here with you, Jesse. You see these set images. What is your reaction to seeing what just kind of seems to be like this open arena? There seems to be some glass cases in the background. Any speculation what you think this place might be?
Honestly, yeah, I'm kind of curious about it. It looks kind of regional.
Okay.
A little high up and everything. Which kind of makes me wonder. I mean, obviously Han's a smuggler and everything, so this. I feel like this is some sort of meeting of some kind that we're seeing between one group and they're meeting with another, maybe to broker some kind of deal. Interesting enough, though, Beckett's trench coat, just for some reason, it reminds me of Han's camo coat from Return of the Jedi. I know that's probably not right.
I can see that. Yeah, I can
but,
see that.
I almost kind of wonder if maybe this is kind of a role model kind of thing. I'm kind of seeing some of the same kind of swagger, almost kind of.
Well, okay, so now you're talking about the characters. I was asking about the set. You think that... Well, we already know that Beckett is kind of a guy that puts his arm around Han, so to say. We recently did learn that it's not a direct mentor relationship. That Beckett is not like... Okay. It's not like he's Han's Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's like Han's going to pick up a few tricks of the trade from Beckett. David, when you saw these images, what went through your head? I know you and I were joking about Beckett's hair, but it is kind of cool to see these characters on set.
If you go to the original article from our friends at StarWarsNewsNet.com, there's actually like a little video clip you can click on, and it'll give you like a little, 20-second little viewpoint where the still images that we see on the article, they kind of view away from it, and you can see that they're pretty high up. They're looking out of what looks like a skyscraper, and then there's even more of those glass cases with stuff in it. So my mind immediately kind of went back to the Guardians of the Galaxy when we go meet the Collector.
Okay,
and there's some stuff there. So maybe I'm kind of on the theory that maybe this is a trade deal where they're meeting with somebody higher up who's trying to do some stuff under the table, so to speak.
I can roll with that. Definitely can roll with that. Nick, you see these images. I'm really excited to see a Han Solo on that set. You and I go back and forth about Alden Ehrenreich, but what's your interpretation of these leaked images?
My first thought was like nothing of what you're saying. Is that he's actually here to steal something that's in this collection or try and grab something that's in this. Like, this is his mission.
That's cool.
That was my first
So, like, it's like a heist film.
Yeah,
almost.
that's kind of that was my thought looking
that
at
could be killer.
Because I do like how they do use real set, not like green screen for everything, and so like it just looks so good. I would love it for it to be like Coruscant. That'd be a bomb. That
would be sweet, and I'm glad you pointed that out. It's one thing that has been consistent with Disney doing these movies since 2015 is the fact that we have a lot of big sets. It's not a lot of green screen. That's something we saw in like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, especially was you'd have like the bottom of pillars and then green screen.
Yeah,
and it's like that's. I think why those actors should be given more credit because they had to do a lot more acting because they didn't have the interactive set that they're getting in these couple. Jesse?
I from a prop making stance, I mean you gotta tip your hat to the crews putting all that together because I think it's probably a lot easier on the actors to actually get into character if they actually feel like they're actually in that universe.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this though, I would be okay if they stopped leaking images from the set.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of images leaked from the Han Solo film especially. We're getting more leaks from that movie, and that movie might even not ever happen. So, just lay off. Just let us get a trailer. Instead of people losing their jobs, because I'm assuming this person got fired because these leaks, these images are close up on set.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be pretty blatant.
They had to find them, and they had to fire them. It's not worth you losing your job. Let's just all wait and get a trailer at the end of the day.
I think this shows you just how much of a train wreck this movie is when like you're getting this kind of a leak going on. Like that's so bad.
I just kind of at this point with the Han Solo film, I just kind of want to put it on the back burner. I kind of want to forget about it and just really focus on what's coming up.
Well, speaking of the Han Solo movie, we're going to talk more about the Han Solo movie right now because it seems the removal of Chris Miller and Phil Lord from the untitled Han Solo standalone movie upset some, maybe some of us, but not Woody Harrelson. In an interview with Uprocks, when asked about the chaos of a new director being put in place of the movie, he responded, quote, "Oh, you can relax, man, because obviously the Force is with us." He continues to speak positively about Ron Howard. You have a grin on your face. I hear the smirk, Nick. What do you hear about Woody Harrelson, who plays Beckett, speaking this way about the director change.
I mean, it's the same thing that I talked about earlier when it comes to like the Kylo Ren not wanting to meet, Luke Skywalker for lunch. The actual actors, obviously, but not wanting to meet him because they wanted to keep that character thing going on. They just, they have a way of saying things to be like, yeah, it totally is what I mean. But, like, I'm sure this is, like, a publicist. Like, hey, make sure you don't crap on your own movie. Like, I cannot believe anything anybody says.
But the thing with me is...
from the movie. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I personally have a hard time believing anything from any actor coming from this movie.
Woody Harrelson has a reputation of being a bit of a rebel himself.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
And he's pretty witty. And, David, you and I are a fan of several of his films. You hear him be this, frank, this candid about this movie. Do you like his comments about his thoughts about Ron Howard coming onto the set?
I do. I mean, I was laying in bed the other night thinking about this a little bit. You're a relatively unknown actor, or you're signing on to be, because this isn't like a big production. It's not like the movie. So they're not using their A players. They're using a lot of new people for this film. And you know that it's Lord Miller, and then suddenly you wake up one day and you're told the Ron Howard is going to be your new boss. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about that the other night, and it has nothing to do with Woody Harrelson's comments, but I'm still going to throw my faith behind Ron Howard and his ability to do justice to this.
You just casually think about Ron Howard in bed, huh?
I do.
Huh.
Doesn't everybody?
Does that make you last long? Does that last long?
So,
did I ask that question the wrong way? Hey, Jesse, how do you feel about this statement from Woody Harrelson?
I like Woody. I have seen some of his other movies. I mean, I loved him as Tallahassee in Zombieland and everything. What was No Country for Old Men? He was in that. I loved his role in that movie as well. So I kind of feel like he's an easygoing guy, and for him to not be intimidated by this change really speaks a lot to his own character. But it does give me confidence that whatever we get, I don't know if I'm still worried, but I'm kind of in there with I think we'll be okay.
You know what I will say about this is, and David, you kind of touched on this too, that Woody Harrelson is the veteran actor on this set. He really is, and I like the fact that he has this calm response to the media. We're talking because it's Woody talking to the media about the movie. We're not talking about it because it's controversial. And so I like it because, to me, it kind of puts everyone... It seems like this interview is the one that's putting everyone at bay. Listen, it's fine. He's the director. We're moving forward. And I'm not worried about it anymore. Like I said earlier, I just want to see a trailer now. Like, I'm done with the leaks. I'm done about, speculation and cast interviews. Show me some footage from this movie and get me excited.
I don't think you can do that, though, until Last Jedi comes out. Because I feel like if they do release a trailer for this, like, too early... that'll confuse people that aren't so into the Star Wars universe,
and that's why
not getting the wrong movie kind of thing.
And that's why I didn't agree with them doing anything at D23 with Han Solo. Like, whether this movie was going flawlessly or not, they should not have made a big deal about it, because I want my focus right now to be on The Last Jedi. Once you hit January 5th, all you want about Han Solo. Good to go.
Are we still projecting a May release for this movie?
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Still projecting May.
And Disney's still planning on releasing Avengers Infinity War Part 1 in May too, right?
Yep.
So is Disney competing with themselves on this one?
Yeah, but that's inevitable. I mean, they own everything. It's like that's the whole point of D23, and we talked about this last week, is they own so many different brands. Eventually, they're going to compete with themselves. And we also talked about last week is the fact that if you don't like the May release, and let's say that they're not able to get the reshoots done in time, well, if you back it up to December, you're competing against, what did we hear about D23 this week? We heard about Mary Poppins. Comes out in December. Like, no matter what, I mean, it might be a difference of weeks, but it's still the same month. And you want a juggernaut like your Infinity War, like your Star Wars title, to carry the first place spot in the box office for at least 3 weeks. I mean, you're not going to have anything like Titanic where it owns for like months, So you need to give it at least some life. And no matter what, like I said, Disney's going to be competing with itself. Then again, you're dealing about Star Wars, and that fan base is so loyal. Maybe it's not an issue overall. We won't know until, I guess we have to face it. I'm going to say we got to go to the next topic because we have a jam-packed episode. And the last topic in Real Talk is going to be about the Forces of Destiny. Which, there's 3 episodes left since the last time we did an episode. The Imposter Inside, The Stranger, and The Bounty Hunter. And in the 3 episodes, we're going to break them down, but we're going to do it a little bit quicker than we did last week. We went super in depth, and if you did not hear our breakdown of those first 5 episodes, make sure you're checking that out right now on our YouTube page. Actually, wait, don't. Do it after you watch this episode. Go back and check all that out. Also, be sure if you have any thoughts on what we said about the D23 stuff or the Han Solo movie stuff, be sure you're commenting below. Let us know what you think. We'll shout you out on the next episode. All right, like I was saying, Forces of Destiny, that 6th episode was with the Imposters Inside. We see Senator Amidala and Ahsoka teaming up. Ahsoka is your bae, Nick. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you thought about this episode.
It's the first episode that I think was a very true kind of animated short. I think like the storyline with this one could have fit really well into the Clone Wars.
Okay.
It seemed like that this one as well as Bounty of Trouble, those two I think could fit really well into like a Clone Wars series. Obviously a lot more abbreviated. But I thought it was pretty good. There was some, it's a cartoon. I keep telling myself it's for kids. So I keep trying to, shove away the harsh judgments I have. I think both actors in this one, both voice actors, were solid on point. I thought, overall, I think it was it was entertaining.
I thought it was great to have the voice actors back from the Clone Wars. And I think that's one of the things that helped me so much with this episode was hearing those familiar voices, especially hearing Miss Eckstein doing the voice of, I don't know why I just called Ashley Eckstein Miss Eckstein. That was weird. That was so weird.
Why did you make this weird, Dave?
I don't know why I made this weird.
You're just being polite.
I was trying to be polite. Ashley just has that warmth in her voice that she has mastered in Ahsoka. And she went from, it went from that Sky Guy era to just the Grey Jedi era. And it is so great. And this is back in the Clone Wars era, so this is her still as a Jedi Padawan. But, wow, this episode really got me excited.
Oh, that's good. Jesse,
I want to ask you about the 7th episode, if that's all right. I want to talk to you about the episode with Rey. And I don't... She's playing, the role of super... She's trying to save a cat, in this episode. Or wait, what did I say? Did I say Rey?
Jyn. Yeah.
Jyn Erso is who I'm talking about.
I was like, I watched the Rey.
Oh my gosh! But she's basically trying to get a cat out of a tree. There's these stormtroopers around. I feel as great as this last episode was. This might have been a cluster F. Yeah. What do you think about it? Oh, silence is deadly.
Yeah,
Painful?
honestly, it's. I'm kind of with Nick. I realize that a lot of these episodes are really are geared towards the younger fan base and everything, and that's great. My niece would love it. I don't.
I felt that it was very forced. I felt like they just had to force Jyn into an episode, and this is the best they could do. I was hoping.
For me, Jyn is vaporized. That's just so it's just like. Maybe that's
she's literally ash particles floating in space.
I was really hoping that this would have been the precursor into Rogue One as to why she's in jail, but I really hope that it's not because she saved a cat.
It's exactly that.
It's
exactly that.
She's selfless in this. I mean, she's doing the right thing, and when we watch Rogue One, we really don't see her become selfless until after her dad dies. So to me, this was out of character. And then right off the bat, when the little girl says, "Please don't take my cat, it's all I have," how the hell do you live with the cat? I mean, do you sell the cat for money, take the money to buy cat food, and wait for the cat to come back home so you can feed it?
It does tricks.
I don't get this.
For me, I would have stole the cat and sold it and then stole it back again.
What is the code that they reference, by the way? Why can't she have a cat? Is it against the rules of the planet to own a cat?
I don't think there's anything
about it.
about
There's so many questions that we're
My complaint about... So this episode brings back a point we had last week, which is these sacrifice the character traits to entertain the children. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you've identified, what all 3 of you have identified with this episode is it changes character traits. Mm-hmm. The last episode that we've gotten in the Force of Destiny series, this was with Leia.
Lame.
What?
This one was lame.
Sabine and Leia teaming up to share a data tape? Are you serious?
I thought this one was pretty good, too.
David, if you're going to say it's lame, you got to tell me why now.
First of all, yellow paint bombs, that's pretty lame. Second,
she does that in the series.
I haven't gotten that for. Spoiler, you jackass.
You're 8 years behind. It's not my fault.
Second, she hid the tape, and then the tape's in the middle of the wall, in the middle of the corridor. Lame.
It's convenient. You only have 2.5 minutes to tell a story.
Then it was convenient that IG-88 showed up, so the only 4 stormtroopers in the area could go battle
You needed
him.
a conflict to create a diversion.
And then there's that lame-ass line about, oh, I'll keep fighting on the inside if you keep fighting on the outside.
that's
My
lame, too.
God.
There's
like,
suppressed lesbian interaction.
it's vomitrocious, and I don't need it out of my Star Wars 2.5-minute cartoons.
Okay, so no one's buying the underlying romance there.
Apparently, you two think differently than me, so
Yeah, Nick,
I wouldn't say like
counterpoint.
Jesse, what do you say?
for one, it's got a Mandalorian, so plus side to that.
Jeez.
I know. For me, I actually felt like the voice acting for Leia was actually a little bit better in this episode
Okay.
compared to the Ewok.
Same
one.
girl.
Yeah, so I was really kind of surprised by that. As far as the various plot points, yeah, you only have 2 minutes to tell this brief story and everything. For me, it was just like, it kind of proves how useless IG-88 is, and that kind of made me laugh. So I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, that's actually really a lot higher than I thought you were going to give it.
Again, honestly, these Forces of Destiny episodes, they don't really do much for me. Like, I think I'm far beyond this point in terms of my fandom and everything.
I feel like Disney has to do analytics on who comes to see their movies. So, like, at Christmas time when the next movie comes out, I really want to see them put out, like, a Twitter tweet or a Facebook tweet that says, like, because of these Forces of Destinies, we've had X% more kids come to see Star Wars. And then I'll be like, okay, this was worth the time.
I don't know. Like, so the biggest thing for me is, like, I was hoping that some of them served a purpose. Like, I mean, I don't know. The one with Rey kind of getting from finding BB-8 to the city, it kind of filled that gap in a little bit, kind of.
Yeah, but the Nightcrawler monster looks ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you had the Leia with in the Ewok escape, how she got the dress. Like, I get that they kind of filmed these little random gaps that nobody cared about, but most of these didn't. And I was kind of depressed. Also, to show how little they cared, I think only Disney themselves cared about this, they released 2 on the same day. I don't know if that was because they just wanted to get it over with or what, but the final 2 were released on the same day. And that's why, if you look, one of the view counts is significantly lower than the other, because they probably screwed that up.
Someone had to get off to their vacation.
Yeah, they're probably like, whatever, no.
D23 is coming up. Just
get this
get it
over
out.
with, or I'm hanging myself in the office.
I think it was an interesting concept. I'm not mad that they did it, ultimately. I think it's interesting.
They got better.
We're supposed to get more episodes. It'll be interesting to see how those go. I will say this. I did like that last episode with Leia more. You mentioned how the voice acting seemed to be more in line with Leia. And I will say this. It was more in line with a New Hope era Leia.
Yeah.
We didn't have the warmth in her voice at that time. We needed her warmth in that Ewok episode. But we've said it before, we need to stop over-analyzing a series that was for kids. And you know what? If kids enjoyed this series and they are going to be they're going to be obsessed with Star Wars and they're going to grow and they're going to love it, then that's great. And it accomplished exactly what it did.
I mean, here's the thing too. I paid nothing to watch these.
Absolutely nothing. It was free.
I can't be mad about it. So it's just I can't be mad about something I didn't invest in.
I'm still going to rewatch them a few more times, but
Something to fall asleep to, right?
Yeah.
While you're thinking of Ron Howard. Let's go on to the next segment of the show. We are entering pages, pixels, and pieces. We are having an incredible time. This is so fun. If you have anything you want to say about Forces of Destiny, make sure you throw something up on the comments right now. Pages, pixels, and pieces takes us to more new Star Wars content from D23 Battlefront II Featurette, Behind the Story. We hear from the creators and actors in the game about a theme of family in this game, which I am so excited about because it's talking about the complications this creates for our lead character, Iden Versio. And so, Nick, I want to start with you because I had missed this initially because Dave and I were traveling. You were pumped. You're pumped to see this footage. What do you think about it?
It's a lot of new game things in there. I think the animation, you can still tell I don't think it was final. There's still some kind of
pixelation
with the bodies and all that, so I don't think it's final, but I mean it's still a really good glimpse into a lot of the story. I like how they show you the Death Star blowing up. That was one of my favorite things. It was like, oh, that's cool. But there's a lot of really cool moments just kind of scattered throughout this. I like how they grab things from the movies and kind of implemented it in here to kind of help tell this story. The opening scene, probably after the Death Star, you just see the Rebel fleet just going crazy on a bunch of Rebel ships and all that. really quick glimpse, which makes me hope that there's a lot more in terms of the space battles in this movie, game, whatever.
It feels like a movie at this point because of all the cinematic video that we've seen so far. And for me, I'm more of a casual gamer. The visuals are so much more crisp than what I remember the last Battlefront 2 being. Because I played Battlefront, the new Battlefront 1, some, and it looked really pretty, but just the leap that they've made from the originals to this is just, I'm still overwhelmed by it. Jesse, you get to play the alpha version of this game. Let's talk strictly about this video that we see in this featurette. What are you thinking right now?
I'm excited because compared to Battlefront 2015, we didn't get a story. Okay, this was basically here's a multiplayer game. That was it.
Right.
So with this, we're getting to see like these moments, these cinematic scenes that are going to be told in this already epic looking sequence and everything.
Yeah.
And you're also getting behind the scene looks of, Janina, with the various like the green screen stuff that they use and everything.
The capture
motion
stuff.
capture,
They
thank
pushed
you.
that really hard.
Really hard. That they're doing their own stunts. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really just impressed with the overall presentation of this video and everything. But again, I was sitting there picking it apart, getting excited about stuff. And for me, it's I'm excited about getting the Empire viewpoint.
Yeah.
That they weren't robots; they were humans too. So it's kind of like I'm ready for this story.
Jesse is excited, and I'm excited the fact that the story it's being talked about so much because we did get it in 2015, like we mentioned, and it looks like it's a very complex, detailed story.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
half-assing here. This is going to be something that's going to give us a real thrill. And we mentioned seeing that these actors and actresses are having to do their own stunts. And it just looks so rigorous. And just to see, like, that scene where Janina is being pulled back in the green, you're like, oh, wow, that looks really intense. And then they give you the clip from the game footage, and it's her getting sucked out into space, we think. That might be a spoiler. Well, good thing we've had the spoiler graphic up the entire time. I didn't say the spoiler graphic was going to be up, but I'm saying now that it's up in that top right corner. I just was really impressed by...
editing.
Right. Impressed by the passion and the dedication of these actors and actresses. Really enjoyed that. David, you and I are going to play this game for a lot of hours together. This featurette, what does it do to you?
It gets me really excited. They talk a lot about family in the different interviews, not just one person, but multiple people. And a couple, stories ago, we were talking about family again. So I like the fact that across multiple platforms, across multiple stories, Disney's really saying that we are a Star Wars family. And Janina, who we appreciate wholeheartedly, really just kind of summed it up best when she said, this is the culmination of all the things that are good in the world, video games, Star Wars, and a team of people willing to do the work.
It just really shows, doesn't it?
Significantly.
Like, I'm pumped.
Another comment, too. I think the Rebels really need to work on their doors, because we see another scene with a Rebel that gets, locked out of his door. He can't get it open. They really need to figure this out, guys.
The one door jams, Vader slaughters 12 in the hallway in Rogue One, and here the little robot thing, which I love that little droid that pops out of the Imperial pilot's backs and just goes and zaps him.
Poor guy.
It's going to be incredible. I'm so excited about this game, and you know what? We're not done talking about this game because you know what? Janina Gavankar, right before D23, had released an image, and it was like the key 3 characters of the game, but also it went along with an excerpt from Christy Golden's novel that accompanies this book, and all this information was put together thanks to the good guys over there and good girls at StarWarsNewsNet.com. They put just a ton of stuff in one article, and we're using and abusing it right now. I want to talk specifically about the excerpt from the novel because we get some character breakdown in that featurette, which is really exciting, which we're going to backtrack for a second. The guy from Arrow is one of the lead 3 in this game. How did we not know that until now?
Because we're just bad at reading.
Blackthorn is in this game.
Sort of.
In this game.
Sort of.
Like the accomplice to Inversio. Like he makes up a third of the 3. I'm so excited. He's like my favorite part of Arrow. That show is a disaster. But he is great. Okay, now we're going to go back on topic. And we're talking about the excerpt from the novel. See, I brought it back.
Full circle.
Full circle. David, I know that you read it. What we're getting in this is an excerpt that shows us the relationship between Iden and her father, right?
Yes. So this takes place immediately after the first Death Star blows up.
Okay.
And Versio brings in his daughter and 3 other people who are on this Inferno squad and tell them to sit down. And there's a nice little exchange that's very professional between the two of them before he turns their attention to a hologram where they're actually watching on like slow motion the Death Star just explode. And we basically hear Versio say that you guys are going to go on a mission because, one guy basically just ruined the entire Death Star for us, and we're literally watching it right now blow up over and over, so you get how important this is, and that the Empire is going to retaliate in every way possible, from the very grand to the very intimate, and he's sending these 4 on a mission that's going to be on more of the intimate side of how to destroy the Rebel Alliance.
I thought this was really interesting, and it was also touched upon in the featurette that we just got done talking about, was the decisions that he has to make in relationship to his daughter and assigning her tasks that are deadly, but ultimately it has to be for the greater good, and that's what will benefit the Empire the most.
But we're kind of led to believe that that's what she was, like, born to do. She was born into an Empire town.
Vordos is the planet, and it's this like the concept art that you see. We keep going back to the featurette because it was just so in depth. You get to see that it's just these tall, white, beautiful buildings, but so many Imperial banners just thrown against these beautiful buildings, and it's like
Berlin.
Yeah, it kind of is though, Nick. I mean, it's I don't want to say it's brainwashing, but you're definitely like manipulating the mind of everyone, getting them ready to serve the Empire.
I mean, the Empire did nothing wrong from my stance, so I mean,
well, he
I'd
doesn't
say
like
this
order.
is well justified.
That's what I always say.
Jesse,
I like law.
what you have not been able to read the excerpt, but are you excited to hear a little bit more about getting insight into this family dynamic?
Well, I have some good news. I just read it now.
What? Oh, you just read it out? Okay, so what do you think? I love when you guys do your show prep during the show. It really makes this ship fly smoothly.
I honestly, I didn't know about this actually until you guys started like in this next part. I'm like, oh god,
So now you're just telling the whole world exactly the situation.
So
he also has a Lipton tea bottle behind the action figures.
Let's wash that glitter down, guys. I skimmed through this very quickly and everything, and and Nick made a very nice comment, a very Berlin feel. As a history major and everything, one of the books that I read was by Albert Spears, and it was about how Berlin was transformed, like they were rebuilding all these fancy buildings and everything. And you combine that with what you hear about, like this infrastructure, even like with the officers and everything. It really paints a really vivid picture and everything, and it's just like no wonder so many people were like, brainwashed by the Empire, by the what they were basically selling to the people and everything. So I'm really curious to see where Iden Versio's character goes.
I'm excited for this book now.
I am. I want this now. Can I get a copy now?
We're trying. They had that exclusive. Excuse me, I don't want to burp into the microphone. They had that exclusive version drop this week at D23 with the pilot helmet. It looks so good. It's Iden with her helmet on. Looks fierce. We'll look for it on store shelves. It's coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, what do you think about this book? Because you read more of the comics than the actual novels.
Right. I don't know. It's gonna tell. I feel like a lot of times we don't get the Empire perspective in a lot of things, instead of we're getting like this solely the Empire perspective. So I mean that should be kind of really cool to kind of see the ins and outs of and kind of filling in those gaps that we don't know. And so this is something that's really going to actually add something to the universe, as opposed to being like a kind of like a little niche kind of outside piece.
I totally agree with you. And what you just said is what so many people have been saying, that they want to experience more of this imperial perspective. And a few of the previous canon novels that we've gotten, whether that be, I mean, I'm thinking most notably, oh my gosh, the first Battlefront book, you got that experience of seeing glimpses of that imperial perspective, and you got some in Lost Stars. But this is a book, like you said, completely dedicated to it. And I think what it also tells me is the story group is listening. Okay, the fans are enjoying what we're doing. We're humanizing the Empire, and they're buying into it. Here's a whole book. Here's a whole, and it's going to be awesome.
Money.
It's going to be so good. And I'm also really excited because Christy Golden, her previous book was Dark Disciples, which was the book that was on Asajj Ventress, and working with a Jedi that had escaped Order 66. And really great book there. And I'm really excited. It seems like she's going to really follow through with this next book and give us a great story. Let's go on to the pages of the segment now. We are done with the pixels part. We are moving to the pages. And coming out, well, it was last week that this came out, was Darth Vader #3. And we have finally gotten our hands on the comic. We have lost the comic. It is behind Nick. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that Nick was covering that up. What a great issue. I'm so happy that this issue came, because for 3 straight issues, I'm saying issues a lot, I lost my train of thought. Here's my point. I'm looking at you, okay? It's a really great comic, because I was really worried that we were going to have 2 great issues, and then we were going to have this stall issue where Vader's traveling, trying to find this Jedi, and that's not what we got at all. We end up right at the front door of this Jedi Master who took this barish oath, says he's not going to be involved with anything connected to the Jedi Order, and we get Vader just rolling right up on him. David, you read this comic. Just give me your thoughts about this issue 3, because I really think that Charles Soule has really just found his stride. I know it's early on in the series, but man, it is compelling stuff.
I found this a lot more attractive than I find Ron Howard, so that's pretty low standard there. This, to me, was just beautiful. It was a great way to continue the story. The art is phenomenal. The colors are vibrant, which I really love. It makes everything pop off the page. But we do actually get to meet Master Infala, and what I love about him is when he's like starting to have a conversation with Vader, he basically says that he took the Barash vow for his transgressions, but then he just gives us that little tease and he doesn't tell us what it was for. So we know from the previous issues that he really liked to fight people, so this is interesting. But then what's even more significant is that he asks Vader if he was the one who killed the rest of the Jedi, and basically goes on through the rest of the issue to call him a creature, a monster, because he doesn't quite know what he is yet. But he says that his vow to the Barash is now complete, and that he is going to end Vader for what he did. So then I guess this whole thing is kind of like a Jedi training center, so he starts putting Vader through like a gauntlet of sorts, and then stops it halfway through and says, you know what, this is tiring, we're just going to kill the bastard. So he literally starts tearing Vader apart before the issue kind of ends. And I just, from start to finish, it had me. I laughed, I cried, I had tears. It was beautiful, and I needed a box of Kleenex when I was done. So
I'm not sure if that was for your nose or for something else. And now I'm not sure if you need to even read that episode, because David just gave a flawless explanation of what happened in that comic. You know, Jesse, while Nick does his show prep and reads the comic as he traditionally does on the episode, my thing about this, I love the story that's being told. I love how they're going about it, but visually, I have one critique, and that is the look of Vader, especially the helmet. And I was wondering if you had this kind of thought about it, because I know we've talked about it before where Vader has had different armor. He has his armor maybe that he wears before the Emperor. He has his armor that he wears for the battlefield. But the helmet seems just a little too sloped. You know what I'm saying? Did you have any issues with the visuals in this comic or the previous 3, or are you just thinking it's just good as is, keep it going?
Honestly, I haven't noticed, and that might be shocking to you.
So I'm nitpicking. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
So it's something where I'm gonna probably look at it again. You know, overall though, I really enjoyed this issue. I was kind of expecting some sort of filler comic, you know, before getting this confrontation. No, this jumps straight into it. What's interesting here, I mean, we know that this is directly after Revenge of the Sith and everything. Anakin isn't exactly 100% healthier. I mean, he was lit on fire, lost numerous limbs, and now he's got these, you know, to some degree, he's not used to having robotic legs.
Right.
You know, so I think really he's at a very weak state right now.
Right.
And then just basically the issues that he has with these robotics, his armor, and kind of going towards maybe, if there is a difference, maybe it's kind of one of those things where he gets done with this, whatever, the conclusion of this part of the story.
Well, you would imagine it would be him building the lightsaber.
It's going to be like, okay, here's my lightsaber. I need to improve what I have here because this sucks.
I can totally buy that. And I will say this, maybe Charles really put a lot of effort into this first arc because you really have to get the fans to buy in. We just got done with the 2-year run with Darth Vader. To have this new run, this year 1 experience, but my goodness, he has not let down with these first 3 issues. Even though we got a great breakdown from David. You make sure that you go out there and you buy that comic if you have not already. Now, coming out this week in comics, okay? So coming out in, let's make sure that we have the date for you because I want to make sure that we are on point with this. Coming out on July 19th, okay? This coming Wednesday, 2 Star Wars issues are dropping. Darth Maul number 5, Poe Dameron number 17, and with Darth Maul 5, this is the conclusion of that Darth Maul miniseries. And the whole premise has been he needs to find a Jedi to slaughter. He's not assigned this by Palpatine. He decides upon himself that he's going to kill a Jedi to quench his thirst. I wanted to say lust originally, but it's his thirst.
His bloodlust.
Yeah, to kill a Jedi apprentice, to really test his skills. And it's going to be interesting in this 5th issue to see if he does kill the Jedi Padawan, because as we know in issue 4, they're on the planet side and they're having to defend themselves because they're being hunted in a game. So very interesting to see how that drops. And then Poe Dameron 17, the Resistance, is still going head-to-head against the First Order. They're trying to get that Tabana gas back so that way they can help fuel up the ships for the Resistance. So those are quick summaries. We don't want to give too much away. There's not a whole lot known about them until they come out, but we want to make sure that you know what comics are coming out in the week ahead, and then we can have a conversation about them. If you had anything you wanted to say about Darth Vader number 3, or you have some thoughts about what we might see in either Darth Maul number 5 or in Poe Dameron number 17, make sure you drop us comments down below in the comments section. Before we go on to the next segment, because I know we're going to have to wrap things up, what are your thoughts of the comic? Because you just finished it, man. You finished Darth Vader 3.
That was really good. It was really good visually. I did like to see that it wasn't going to be that easy of just first Jedi, boom, done. I'm glad they're prolonging this. And like you just said, the filler, no filler in that at all. So, boom.
Boom, he has to learn. 10 out of 10 from Nick Stewart. We're going on to the next topic. We're going on to the next segment. Even better, blast it or stash it. This is the topic, this segment. I'm getting confused with my words. This is where we get a topic, and we decide if we like it, we stash it, or we hate it, we blast it. Getting very tongue-tied. I'm getting very excited because we have a really great subject here. Star Wars Land, or what we believe will be called Galaxy's Edge, because that's what, 15,000 agencies are reporting right now, is not set to open up until 2019. But man, did we get an awesome surprise at D23 this week. We got this big model replica of what they believe this park will be. And if we're going to get this park in Orlando and in California, this is worth the wait. I mean, I'm going to need to save up between now and 2019 anyways in order to go to this park. David, you saw this massive model. There's a video. I know we saw the video on StarWarsNewsNet.com. They posted that nice kind of panoramic shot of it. It seems to be a thing where the park is going to honor every era of Star Wars.
Sounds like it. I'm going to stash it. I think it's super neat. I do hope that they kind of plot out their area to accommodate long lines.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is going to be something that's going to be maybe even more popular than the Harry Potter area that Universal opened.
I can stash that comment right there.
So, I mean, I'll talk a little more about it when we get to my stay on target because I'm really excited for this one.
No, that's awesome. Jesse, you see this and there's some things that you pick out right away. There's X-Wings and TIE Fighters, both of the Resistance era. You do see the Millennium Falcon, but it's the Force Awakens version of the Millennium Falcon. The architecture does give the prequel some love. Do you think maybe the new sequel, the sequel trilogy era is being favored more in the layout?
Probably because it's what I feel like it's what people are more familiar with. You've got a whole generation that it's quite possible, unfortunately, that their first Star Wars film was The Phantom Menace. I'm so sorry. But
I think that the Phantom, I don't see anything of that in the park. Maybe the architecture looks a little Naboo-ish.
You have a lot of reoccurring. I saw some, like Naboo influenced, style buildings. Obviously, there's Tatooine, like buildings and everything. Overall, yeah, I could see potentially where they're favoring some of the newer films. I'm okay with that. I just know when this opens, I'm going to put my armor on and just go and live there.
I'm sure they're not going to allow that to happen. I'm pretty sure you have to have your helmet off. You won't be able to bring the toy blasters.
They won't know that
his cosplay is just that good.
It's that good. They're going to think I'm a part of it, and I'm just going to survive off of blue milk, Dave.
And he'll be the guy who does like the milk commercials, with the blue milk mustaches with the Mandalorian armor. I mean, he's got this all planned out.
I don't know how you're going to do it because I thought you were lactose intolerant. Do you stash it or blast it?
I stash it 100%.
Absolutely. That's good to hear. So we have 2 stash shits. Nick?
I mean, definitely stash it.
Yeah, baby.
I hope that in time, I hope that I get a job in Florida to get like immediate access before this opens.
I need you to help me pay the rent.
So I can see it without a million people in it. Because I think the problem I see with it is that you're only gonna really get to enjoy it if there's not a lot of people. If that place is packed, you're not gonna really get thrown into the universe because you're just gonna have hundreds of people just talking and.
Very good point. I feel like as soon as this thing opens, it's gonna be slammed. I mean, Star Wars is one of the most beloved franchises in the world and everything.
And anything new is going to get
so it's one of those things where I almost kind of wonder to some degree, like, do you wait a little bit, maybe like a year after it opens to go, so that way there's...
No, I want to go there with all the people, with all the crowd, and even have to wait in line. You know how much fun you can have in those lines talking with people about their passion for Star Wars?
This is true.
Just when The Force Awakens dropped, and we're doing this in Quincy, Illinois, okay? I go to the AMC 6, okay? I'm standing in their line for a half hour to get in, and you know what? I had some of the best conversations with people who just love Star Wars. And we got to tell how we found out about this Star Wars saga and why we love it and what we're hoping to see in this movie. So I'm going to go when there's long lines, and I'll just take a vacation for 4 or 5 days, and that'll be plenty of time.
I guess the good point is I mean, if it's really packed, it'd make it easier for me to blend in and disappear.
4 or 5 days. He's never seen the prices to a Disney park, has he?
I'm trying to be overly optimistic. Let's go to the next topic because we are rolling right along here in Blast It or Stash It. We're talking about Ron Howard because he took to Twitter. Again, this man knows how to do social media because he recently gave us a glimpse into a certain person's closet, and it seems to feature a very colorful wardrobe. And I think the only way they could have given this away more is a tactfully placed can of Colt 45. Guys, it seems that we have seen some costumes that belong to the one and only Lando Calrissian. David, you've seen the picture, the tweet from Ron Howard. Does this get you excited, this little glimpse behind the scenes?
No. But I do like seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff, so I like that. But for the sake of the pun, I'm going to say blast it, simply because the very first picture that we see is a picture of a really neat-looking blaster.
That's not just any blaster, David. That's the DL-44.
The DL-44 blaster. So, and then we see a closet that could either be Lando's or Elton John's. I don't know. We'll find out as the movie gets a little closer.
Nick, did you like it?
I mean, stashing it, does that mean I have to like love it, or is it like if it's an okay thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's alright. I'll stash it. I mean, it's kind of cool.
All right.
It's not nothing like crazy, but I mean,
It sounds like, David, you blasted it, right?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so we're at 1 and 1
For the sake of the
apiece.
pun.
Jesse, what are you thinking about this, man?
I was disappointed with the picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you want to know why?
Because they're not detailed enough? They don't look real? They look
Well,
cheap?
no,
They
I
look
mean,
cheap
if it's Lando's closet, how come he doesn't... Like, he apparently has an identical outfit to Han, so how come it's not hanging there in the coat rack? All I see is, as David mentioned, some very Elton John-looking cloaks and whatnot. I am serious. Like, it was just kind of one of those things, like... Where's his matching outfit? It seems like they're good buddies. What I did really enjoy, though, was the DL-44. It was a nice close-up picture and everything, so we know that Han's going to have his iconic blaster.
Okay, so I think what I think you guys are referencing is StarWarsNewsNet.com had a story where they put out that Ron Howard did tweet, and they used, I think, as like the cover photo, Han's blaster to like not give you the actual leak. So they do that to make sure if you don't want to get the leak or you don't want it to be spoiled, then
It's still a great picture.
you can't see it. So yeah, it's a great picture, but it looks like you guys got misled. You didn't catch that. It's okay. It's all right. Hey, you know what? That's it for Stash and Blast It. Blast it or Stash It. Either way you say it. Great segment. Had a good time. But I'm more excited about going to the Fan Comlink. I love to tap the Fan Comlink because we have some awesome fans giving us some awesome questions. an insane soul. This dude is our man. He follows us, and he's very interactive with us online, and asked us a very interesting question, and it kind of puts us in the corner, so I'm excited to see what you guys think about this. They have not heard the question for this week's Fan Comlink.
I can read it right now, though.
And that's unfortunate, because I was really excited about you not knowing what the question was. Probably shouldn't have put it in the show note Google Doc, but that's okay. Guys, he wants us to confirm whether or not Snoke is Plagueis. Now, we cannot confirm that Snoke is Plagueis, but we can certainly discuss if we think right now there is a over-under chance that Snoke does in fact turn out to be Plagueis. I'm going to start. Who wants to go first? I'm going to let Jesse. You don't want to go first?
Let me gather my
You wanna
thoughts
gather
here
your
because
thoughts?
I got
I'll bite
something
the
really
bullet.
juicy
Okay,
for
David's
you.
going to go
here.
first.
I need Snoke to be Plagueis.
Okay, why?
I need that. I need them to somehow make the original, the prequel trilogy worthwhile to the entire story. And if they can go back to Revenge of the Sith and let me tell you the tale about Darth Plagueis the Wise, and then Snoke ends up being Plagueis like 6, 7, 8 movies later, I need them to do that to give some sort of validity to the prequel trilogy.
I can totally roll with that, and it's putting that bow on the box, so to say, tying that nice neat bow on the trilogy. If you can kind of bring it full circle, my thing that I am really holding on to as of late is when Pablo Hidalgo had that tweet, and there was that conversation with him and Rian Johnson saying how the sequel trilogy isn't completely mapped out right now, that we are going from film to film. We have a couple ideas of what's going to happen, but nothing is concrete. Well, once that happened, my faith that Plagueis could become Snoke went right back up, because we had comments about you'll remember Pablo Hidalgo coming out and saying, he's from the outer reaches or whatever, the unexplored space. We've never seen him before. Okay, fine, it's not going to be Plagueis. But now knowing that it hasn't really been fully drawn out. Well, that tells me that if Disney and the Lucasfilm Story Group heard all the fans crying out for Plagueis to be to end up being Snoke, wow, it's not too late. At least I think it's not too late for them to change a couple things, make sure Snoke comes out to be Plagueis. Nick, what do you think?
Sure.
Great.
I don't know. I got nothing to add. He kind of completed my thoughts.
All right,
so.
Jesse, let's hear it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let me get some water, and I'm going to get a cigarette, because I feel like this is going to take a while.
Okay.
Son of a bitch. I can't get up. All right, keep it tight.
Stay on target. I got to try to stay on target.
If it ain't right, it ain't tight, babe. Let's do it.
Okay, so I think most likely there is a high probability that Snoke is Plagueis.
Okay.
However, just in my own nerdom, I have developed a theory.
Stay on target.
Tell me it's Porkins. Please say Porkins.
It is Porkins.
Rebel Alliance is fat shaming, turning people to the dark side.
So, from what we know about the current storyline is we know that the remnants of the Imperial Navy and Army jumped into deep space and kind of disappeared for a while, given the Aftermath books, right?
Mm-hmm.
This kind of coincides with current events going on in Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO game.
Okay.
So I kind of actually wondering if potentially maybe this has something to do with Emperor Valkorion from that time frame.
You're going back.
I'm going way back because this guy seems to have the capacity to manipulate the Force.
Okay.
And basically make himself become reborn, because he died and then came back in actual physical form.
Okay, so what about this? What if you're right? And what if this sets up the Netflix series that we've been talking about, going back to doing the Knights of the Old Republic?
I would be super pumped. And if you add in, where I'm getting a lot of this for my theory is, that Filoni has mentioned the Mandalorian Civil War and Rebels. That his multiple attempts at bringing the Old Republic era into the story.
Mm-hmm.
I could see where this would actually make things a little bit interesting. I mean, as Snoke is described, he's ancient. He's older than dirt. So, right. I mean, it kind of fits Plagueis, which, like I said, I'm still in the Plagueis, thing, but I do have, this is something I've been building on.
Okay. All right. So then let's do this for the second time here, because we're about to hit that full hour. Let's do this. Give me a percentage of how likely you think Snoke will end up being Plagueis. I'm going to start with Nick.
88.2%.
Write that down. I want 88.2% down when you've written it down. David?
88.3%, Bob.
Wow, what a dick.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Yes, Jesse, what do you think?
88.4%.
Yes.
I'm gonna go 60. I'm gonna go 60%.
And the actual retail price is?
$1.
Really? You're going 60%?
I am. I'm still. I think there's a lot more of a chance of it being Plagueis, but I still can't. I still don't have anything to tell me for sure that I can put faith in going, oh, it's gonna be Plagueis. I really. I still need a little bit more, but I want it to be Plagueis. Without a doubt, I want it to be Plagueis. But I'm going to go a little lower, because I play it safe. I'm not a real big gambler. That's going to do it for the Fan Comlink. Always fun to tap the Fan Comlink. Always fun to hear from you, Insane Souls. Thank you so much for the comment. And thank you all the time for hitting us up about what we talk about in the episode and what we do in all the other videos that we do. Insane's super cool. He comments on everything, and it's really cool to have conversations with you. And remember that you can always have conversations with us here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You're listening to us maybe on iTunes or Stitcher, watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 9. Remember, check out some of our friends over at 3 Wise Media. I say some. They're all our friends. 3 Wise Radio guys and Movie Versus. Having a great time over there. I know Movie Versus just dropped their latest episode, and it was really good to listen. Only about halfway through. You'll enjoy it as well. That's going to do it for us. This was a great time. Wait.
Sounds good.
Did we do our staying on target?
We have not.
Oh, yeah.
I skipped staying on target.
We still have time, Dave.
All right, bullet points. Real fast.
Jesse.
Real quick, Insane Souls, you're awesome. And as always, I usually see you on my Twitch channel.
All right, that was great. That was his staying on target. David.
Orlando is putting together a Star Wars hotel that is supposed to be completely immersive. For example, you might in the lobby find Chewbacca hanging out with a couple smugglers, get recruited to go on the Millennium Falcon ride, and if you do well, you get Imperial credits, and if you don't do well, maybe the bounty hunter you're working for gives you a stern talking to. Super stoked. Should excite the cosplayers.
Sounds about right.
A very interactive, interesting. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go frame by frame of that Battlefront 2 thing. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Do you think we could do a breakdown video together about it? All right, let's do that. Okay, and then mine is they went fast. I'm gonna take my time because we got to do this.
Oh boy! All right.
Oh, here we go.
I totally rushed this. I feel so bad, but you know what? I'm glad I caught myself because I would have really kicked myself in the butt for not.
Second week in a row, we would have missed
Cover the
it.
paperwork, Dave, please.
Oh, cover the paperwork.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not really worried about it, but I'll do that. I'm gonna open it up. What I'm opening up right now is the Nathan Greno art that he drew us. We remember that,
Well,
right?
take it out of the plastic, and you're just showing the paperwork again.
Oh, am I? Well, you're not gonna be able to see that home. Guys, how excited are you to see this thing framed and glistening on the set?
We haven't seen it yet.
I have.
Well, Jesse, you're kind of.
Well, I kind of put it together, so it couldn't have been helped.
Kind of. All right, cool. Well, I'm really excited. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna set this up, and I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to lower Mark and Carrie,
Yeah.
slide that over, and then have this artwork behind you.
Side by side and one above it.
But we got this bad boy framed, and that is
Look
looking
at that.
pretty good.
Ooh.
That is looking pretty good.
Ah.
I love that.
Spiffy.
I'm gonna show it in this camera. Can you guys see that? I'm gonna put it like right here. I'm holding it like this.
Nathan, if you're watching, the Boba Fett one would be great as
I like how we
next one.
kept the note on the back too.
Yeah, this is
open.
pretty cool. We kept on the back of the side.
That was actually a coworker's idea
It's good.
because originally, I just told her like he wants to keep that because it's a signature, and then she suggested that hey, if it fits in the frame, let's put it in there. So I was like, that's a great idea.
I'm in love with that thing as always. So we're gonna put that up on the set. So this can be my staying on target, making sure that I set the time this week.
Interactive sets.
Yeah, interactive. Well, we're not touching this once it's up on the wall. Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode 9 of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast. You thought you were getting out of this one early, but we kept you around for an extra 5 minutes. You know what? Be sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you back here next week. May the Force be with you. Isn't this nice?
It is.
It's like listening and stuff.
I don't think I want to touch it.
No,
I
you
might,
can hold it.
I
It's
might.
fine.
I might break it.
Mutual.
I just recommend.
How do I miss staying on target? Like I just missed that whole segment.
The blue matting just looks gorgeous. It matches
Yeah,
the
it's
color.
just-
It's a
spot
spot on.
It
That's
is.
Hey, you weren't with us when we went to get it.
No, that's a good. That's really.
This is like
That was really nice.
Very nice of him to do this. What a nice man.
I still get turned on by that blue lightsaber glow on him.
I think we're still recording.
Oh, absolutely we are.
Excellent.